Okay, good morning, everybody. We're going to learn about the distance formula and the midpoint formula today. They're not too bad at all, and you can use your calculator just like we did for the quadratic equation. So it's just a matter of learning which thing gets plugged in where. So let's get started. 11.5 on page 744. Okay, so the distance formula is used to figure out how far it is from one point on a graph to another point on the graph. And this is usually used when we need to find diagonals, because if it's straight lines, I can just count on the graph, right, one way or the other. But if we're using, if we have a line that's a diagonal, we can't count that as well. So we're going to use the distance formula for that. So usually they give us two ordered pairs and we plug them into this top equation here that I wrote up here in green. So let's give it a try for example number 1. Okay, our ordered pairs are -1, 3 and 5, 2. Okay, so in our formula, we have these little 1s and 2s. All that means is this x from the second ordered pair and the x from the first ordered pair. That's what those little 1s and 2s mean. So you just have to pick one of the ordered pairs to be number 1 and one of them to be number 2. And it doesn't really matter which one you pick to be what, as long as you're consistent. Okay, so I picked the first one to be 1 and the second one to be 2. So now let's go ahead and plug it into my equation right here. It's the square root of the second x, which for me is 5, minus the first x, which for me is -1, minus a -1. Make sure you use both of those signs, okay? We're going to have to use them both. That gets squared because I had a minus and a negative, so I put them both there, which ends up being plus, right? We could do that right now. Then I have plus my second y, which is 2, minus my first y, which is 3. And I'm going to go ahead and square that as well, okay? So I just put the x from the second ordered pair minus the x from the first ordered pair, the y from the second ordered pair minus the y from the first ordered pair, okay? And that's where I got these numbers. All right, so now let's go ahead and solve. 5 plus 1 is 4, and 2 minus 3 is -1, right? So I simplify what's in these parentheses. 5 plus 1, oh sorry, 5 plus 1 is not 4. Wow. It's Monday, you can tell it's Monday. 5 plus 1 is actually 6. 5, 1, 6. Okay, 6 squared, and then 2 minus 3 is -1, and that's going to be squared as well, okay? So 6 squared is 36. -1 squared, what's -1 times -1? I keep dropping this eraser today. -1 times -1 is just +1, right? Okay, so we have a +1. Then we're going to add them together. 36 plus 1 is 37, and I can't simplify that at all. Your calculator will do it for you, as you know, so if it was something that could be simplified, it'll do that. But this cannot be simplified, so we just leave it as the square root of 37, and that's the distance between those 2 points. Okay, great. Let's look at example number 2. In example number 2, they give you almost all of the ordered pair, but it's missing one part, and then they give you how far the distance is. So this one we're going to have to do a little bit backwards. Okay, so let me erase all this. Green's kind of hard to erase. Okay, there we go. So we're still going to plug everything in that we know. Our ordered pairs this time are 3, -5, and 7b. Okay, and we know that distance actually equals 5 on this one. So we know that this is going to equal 5 this time. Okay, 5 is the distance of everything we have here. So let's go ahead and put it into our formula. Okay, my second x is 7, minus my first x, which is 3. So far, so good? Okay, we're on example 2 if you want to follow. My second y is a b. Don't be scared. I'll show you how to do it. And then it's minus my first y, which is a -5. So a negative becomes a what again? A positive. Okay. So 5 is going to equal the square root of this. Okay. So what's 7 minus 3? 4, right? 7 minus 3 is 4, so we're going to do 4 and we're going to square it. What's 4 squared? 16. I hope that wasn't too fast, but I think we could do that all at one time, right? 7 minus 3 is 4. 4 squared is 16. Okay? And then we have this crazy thing that's a b plus 5, because we switch it to that, squared. Okay? So, b plus 5 squared is what we have there. Okay, so there's kind of a couple different ways that you can do this. They didn't show you how they did it. I'm just looking at it to see. But when we have parentheses like this, remember, it really means this, right? They didn't write this out for you. Okay, but remember, when you have a parentheses that gets squared, it's really this, right? So we have to FOIL. So firsts, outsides, insides, last. Right? We remember this from a few chapters ago. So b squared plus 10b plus 25 is what we have there. Okay, so 5 equals the square root of 16 plus b squared plus 10b plus 25. I know, sounds awful, but don't be scared. We'll figure it out. Okay, so we put this plus what we got for this. Okay. Now, we can combine some like terms in here, right? We can do a 16 and a 25. We can put those together, can't we? Okay, a 16 and a 25 is maybe 41. I'm just gonna erase because I'm gonna run out of room otherwise. Okay, so that's gonna be my like terms added together. Now we have to deal with that square root, right? So we're gonna deal with that square root by, I'm going to square both sides. If I square this side, I have to be fair and square this side. When I square this side, it gets rid of that square root, right? This becomes a 25, b squared. Now this side has no square root. Okay, anybody have an idea of what I do next? This is kind of a long problem. I'm gonna move this 25 over here, right? Because we want everything on one side. So I'm gonna subtract 25. Oh, I could leave that equal to 0 if that helps you. What's 41 minus 25? 25, 16. Okay. Now, I'm going to move over here because I know I'm running out of room on your video there. And I'm going to factor this out here because that's what we do when we have a thing like this, right? And it equals 0, we can do, that's what we did last chapter, completing the square, factoring, quadratic equation. Do whichever one makes sense to you. I think I can probably factor this one pretty easy, so I'm going to go ahead and do that. So I have to make 16, so I'm going to use a 2 and an 8. And I can add those to make 10. So my answer is going to be either -2 or -8. Right? So I'm just going to put both of those. It's okay. Sometimes you'll have two things that will work, and that's no problem. Okay, hopefully not very often though. Okay, that's the distance formula. Next, we have the midpoint formula, and that's the one I have in light blue right here. The midpoint formula is if I give you a line, the midpoint formula is used to find, guess what? The midpoint, the middle. So we just, if I have two ordered pairs and I want to know where the middle of those ordered pairs are, that would be an ordered pair also, right? Like if I had a graph and I gave you a line and I gave you an ordered pair here and an ordered pair here, the midpoint would have to be an ordered pair as well, right? That's why we have ordered pair brackets, parentheses on our midpoint formula, okay? All right, so again, the little ones and the little twos just represent the x from the first ordered pair, the x from the second ordered pair. Okay, so this is my midpoint formula. You add the x's and you put it over 2. You add the y's and you put it over 2. So this one is a lot easier. Let's look at example number 3. What is the midpoint of a line segment? And the endpoints are -1, -2, and 3, -4. Now, you could put them into this formula straight, you know, just plug them in if you want to, or we can kind of do a little shortcut if you can stay with me with that. What you do is you add the x's for this one. Okay, so I come over here to my ordered pairs and I add my x's. What's -1 plus 3? I just add these right here. -1 plus 3 is, I think, 2. My brain's not working very well this morning, but I'm pretty sure it's 2. Okay, and we put it over 2. Remember, this is an ordered pair, so we got to keep those bright. Okay, now we are going to add the y. So we just come over here and we go -2 plus -4. -2 plus -4 is -6. If you're not following this little shortcut, it's okay. You just need to plug your numbers in. The x from the first ordered pair, the x from the second ordered pair, etc. Okay, now we simplify. 2 over 2 is 1. -6 over 2 is -3. That's the middle. That's the midpoint between these 2 points on a graph. Okay, that's the midpoint formula. And that's what we're doing for today. So hopefully that won't be too bad. Use your calculators, simplify your square roots if possible, and you can leave your answers in square root form for the distance formula. They just have to be simplified square roots, and that's it. Okay, good luck. See you later.